Atletico Madrid absolutely hates Ronaldo. I don't think you guys really understand how much this guy has destroyed them. But there was this one time Ronaldo humbled them and even make their coach run on the street without any clothes on. It was in 2019. Ronaldo had just joined Juventus because Madrid felt like he was too old and couldn't deliver anything anymore. So when Atletico got tied to Juventus in the round of 16, it was literally time for their revenge and all was set. Atletico had one of the best defenses in the world, and Ronaldo didn't have the world-class players he once had in Real. A few minutes into the game, and Atletico scored. Nothing was working for Ronaldo. He was completely locked out of the game. Then Atletico scored another goal. This time, it was over. Coming back from this scoreline against this team's defense was literally impossible, and everybody knew it. Even though Ronaldo reminded Atletico fans after the match of all his Champions League titles, it still looked impossible. So when the second leg came by, it seemed like it was just a funeral for the legend. But a few minutes into the game, Ronaldo had scored. It was game on. Atletico were shaking in their boots. They were trying their best to score. Nothing was happening for them. Another cross came in and it was put home by Ronaldo. It was now 2-2 on aggregate. The legend was delivering again. Simeone looked like he had just seen a ghost. He couldn't believe what was going on. In the dying minutes of the game, Juventus had a penalty and Ronaldo stepped up to play it. This is Jesse Rodriguez, and this guy was literally the next Ronaldo. They ran alike, they shot the ball alike, they even dribbled alike. All was literally set for him to become the next star of Madrid, until he met the love of his life, who would later even run him over with the car. But even before all of this happened, shortly after meeting her, he got this massive injury, which means he had to stay out of the pitch for 8 months. And instead of him focusing on how to get back to full fitness, she convinced him to chase his dream of being a musician. But things were just getting started. When he returned, he was impressive, so Carlo Ancelotti wanted to integrate him back into Real Madrid. Instead, she convinced him that he should move over to Paris because she has always had this deep love for France. Jesse signed for PSG. The move was disastrous. For some reason, he played the worst form of football that you'd ever see. So he was sent on loan to Stoke City. But after impressing in just one match against Arsenal, he got a call that his love had just given birth to their first child prematurely. So he packed up his bags without informing the club and left. And at this point, everybody felt he was going back to take care of the girl and his child, right? Instead, he got back to Madrid and never even went to visit them once. He decided that this was time for him to relaunch his music career. And he was the literal worst. People in high places actually wanted him removed from the set. I don't think you guys realize that's what Harry Maguire went through. And for him to get to this point where Man United fans actually trust him is nothing short of a miracle. Because when Maguire signed for Manchester United, the expectations on him were just unbelievable. And they actually proved that he was worth it initially. Manchester United needed a rock in the back and he was that rock. But then Manchester United changed their style of play and Maguire suffered. Then the media turned on him. The fans started insulting him and his confidence was destroyed. He would step into the pitch and he couldn't play anything. Everything he did was just terrible. But then things got much worse. He even got arrested. He was receiving death threats both online and physically. A fan told him that they had already planted a bomb in his house. But while all of this were happening, the then coach Erik ten Hag thought it wise to strip him of the captaincy. Things were bad. But he never gave up. He didn't complain. He just put his head down and he continued working hard. Even though the world gave up on him, he refused to give up on himself. And right now, Manchester United and the whole world is in love with him. I know that right now Manchester United are like the worst club in the world, but do you guys remember their best nights in their latest history? I'm talking about the match that literally launched Rashford into superstardom. So it was in 2019 and Manchester United had barely survived their group stage in the Champions League, and then they got tied in the round of 16 to PSG. And just as expected, in the first leg, Di Maria and Kylian Mbappe completely steamrolled Manchester United. The match was 2-0. So when the second leg came around, United had no hope. Neymar was even seen socializing before the game. Then Lukaku scored, making it 2-1. And just to prove how dominant PSG were over Manchester, immediately Lukaku scored, Bernat scored again, making it 3-1 on aggregate. Then another miracle happened. Lukaku scored again, making it 3-2. Now remember, this was a time when away goals were still a thing. So if Manchester United scored one more goal, they could win the match on away goals. But from all indications, that was impossible. Then in the dying minute, Dalot's shot was blocked by Kimpembe's hand. And if Lukaku had taken the been the savior of Manchester United, literally, because he would have single-handedly given United the win. Instead, he gave the penalty to Rashford. This is the moment that launched Rashford into superstardom. I don't think you guys remember the day Liverpool humbled Messi and Barcelona, and this was also the day Trent became a Real Madrid legend. So it was in 2019, and lots of people say things like Messi in 2019 was not the best, but this guy was literally the player with the most goals, the most assists, and was just a terror on the pitch. So when Liverpool faced Barcelona in the Camp Nou, they literally felt his wrath. Then came the second leg in Anfield. Salah was injured. all hope just looked lost. But I'm a Manchester United fan, and I can tell you there is something special about Anfield. The game started, and just a few minutes in, Origi scored it tapping. But here's the thing, even at this point, Barcelona were still dominant. They still looked best people to come out of this game. Wijnaldum was subbed in and he scored. The game was on. Remember, this was the time where away goals were still a thing. So if Barcelona could score one more goal, then Liverpool's mountain just got a little bit higher. But somehow it just wasn't happening for them. Then Wijnaldum scored again, making it 3-3 on aggregate. And this is the very moment I knew that Trent will get the Real Madrid statue. I don't think you guys remember the greatest comeback in the recent history of Champions League. This was the match that literally cemented Real Madrid as the comeback kings and delivered Benzema the Ballon d'Or. So it was in 2022 and the first leg was played in the Etihad. This match was end to end. It was one of the most entertaining matches for a neutral. It ended 4-3 and everybody knew that the second leg was tough. But everybody felt like whoever scored first in the second leg had a huge chance of winning the game. Then the second leg came and it was at the Bernabeu. And lots of Madrid fans expected the team to come back. But then Man City scored in the second half, silencing their hopes. It was now 5-3. The mountain for Madrid to climb was tough. It got to 90 minutes and it was still 5-3. Madrid were literally out. Then by a miracle, Rodrigo scored a goal. This goal was nothing more than a consolation goal in the eyes of everybody. Some fans had already started leaving. By some miracle, he scored again, meaning that he had now taken the game into extra time. City didn't give up. They kept fighting and were close to scoring on numerous occasions. But then Rodrigo got fouled in the penalty box. I don't think you guys remember the biggest comeback in the history of football, because even UEFA said there was a 0% chance of Barcelona winning. You see, Messi already had 5 Ballon d'Ors, Ronaldo had 4. If he won this Champions League, there was a huge chance that he was going to be tied with Messi at 5-5. So Barcelona needed to win this Champions League. And Barcelona's attack were literally playing the best attacking football that you'd ever see. When they faced Paris, literally everybody was expecting Barcelona to win. But then they were completely destroyed, completely annihilated. They were just outclassed by Paris. Maria and his friends were just brutal and relentless with their goals. Even though there was a second leg, right, the probability of coming back from 4-0 is literally next to nothing. Right? But this is the part of the story that you don't know. Barcelona were at a very big disadvantage because they couldn't even rest players. And if they wanted to keep their La Liga hopes alive, they needed to win those games and still be prepared for the Champions League second leg. So when the Champions League second leg came, all hope was literally lost.
I mean, is it bye-bye Barcelona from the Champions League this time around?
It is. Absolutely.
But then, a few minutes into the match, and Luis Suarez scored a very good goal. Iniesta also got a chance, and he had created an own goal. Barcelona were flying. Some minutes later, Neymar got fouled inside the penalty box, and Messi scored. But at this point, it still looks very impossible. Then Paris made a substitution. They brought in Cavani. Cavani is literally one of the best strikers. And let's just say, as they put him into the match, he came and he did his job. Once again, all hope was lost for Barcelona. They kept trying their best, shot after shot, dribble after dribble. Nothing was working for them anymore.
What Neymar could do here. Neymar hits it. Oh, what a goal!
Just like that, the game was on. Suarez was brought down in the penalty box and another penalty was given. Meaning the match ended like this. Paris would still win on away goals. Barcelona had a free kick and Neymar took
the ball
it.
down. Gets onto his left foot and plays it into the box. It's in the net. It's in the
Do you guys remember when this referee tried to cheat this club out of their big spots in the final? You see, it was in 2013, and Watford and Leicester were playing in the semi-finals of the FA Cup, and it was 2-1, meaning the match ended like this. Watford would win. All of a sudden, in the last minute of the game, knockout, a Leicester player fell in the penalty box, and this was just crazy. Before he fell, he was dragged. He didn't fall. Immediately he stepped into the penalty box with very little contact, fell on the floor. It was crazy. Everybody expected it not to be a penalty, but the referee gave a penalty. The crowd went crazy. It was very clear the ref had made a very bad decision. But what happened next was just ridiculous. Knockout's penalty was saved, and so was the follow-up. Now, at this point, for a neutral person, it looked like the referee's plan had just failed. Then, Watford got a counter-attack, and what happened next was just pure madness.
Here's Hogg! Deeney! With the very last kick of this playoff semi-final, Troy Deeney wins it for what?
You guys remember the match that almost destroyed Gerrard's legacy and still haunts him to this day? In 2014, and by this point Gerrard was already Mr. Liverpool. He almost single-handedly won them numerous trophies and even inspired a Champions League win, but the Premier League title was still missing. Then came 2014. This time they had Suarez, and led by Steven Gerrard, this team was literally unstoppable. Draw against City meant that they just needed to win all their games to win the title. Next match was against Chelsea.
This was not
was literally in their hands. While receiving a pass, Gerrard slipped and Chelsea scored. And Liverpool ended up losing the game 2-0. Their last match of the season was against Crystal Palace, and despite being up 3-0, they would slip up again, making it 3-3, sealing their Premier League second place. You guys remember the match that's literally called the worst match in history? This match was so bad, it let everyone know that FIFA had a clear favourite and they were ready to even rig a match for him to win.
It's the strongest official you can put now. This is supposed to be.
So it was Chelsea versus Barcelona in 2009, right? Even from the start of the match, it was clear that something was up with the referee. Dani Alves literally dragged Malouda down in front of the ref and he gave no foul. Clear penalty and he gave no foul. But I assure you, the worst things were yet to happen. Drogba had a clear chance on goal and he was just dragged down by Abidal. Once again, in front of the referee, no penalty. Drogba literally could not believe what had just happened. Then came a cross from Peter Cech and Drogba kicks Piqué in his gut, like he kicked Piqué in his stomach. The play continues. The ball gets to Anelka, who trips on his own feet, falls down, and the referee gives Abidal a red card. As you can clearly see, there was no contact between Abidal and Anelka, yet he was given a red card. And this Didier Drogba challenge on Piqué got absolutely no card, but I assure you, the worst was yet to come. Anelka gets a very good chance. He flicks the ball over Piqué, who literally blocks the shot with his hand. Even Piqué himself could not deny it, yet no penalty. Then Drogba got another chance right inside the penalty box and he was taken down by Yaya Toure. No penalty. At this point it became weird, it became strange to everybody who was watching. What on earth was happening? Then Messi gave Iniesta this wonderful chance and Iniesta scored, meaning it was now 1-1 with Barcelona having an away goal advantage. This means that if the match ends like this, literally Barcelona has won the match. If only Chelsea can have one more opportunity, right? One more chance to right their wrongs, fix up this bad match. Well, they did. Lampard gets a corner and he makes the cross and Ballack shoots the ball and Eto'o blocks the ball with his hand. No penalty. The match will end this way and Barcelona would go on to win the Champions League title. I don't think you guys remember the night of Old Trafford's loudest roar. The night United literally came back from the grave to win a match. You see, United's season had been in shambles. They were 16th in the league and desperately needed to win this Europa League to save their season. So after drawing the first leg 2-2, they entered the second leg confidently and their confidence actually paid off. They were literally unplayable. By halftime, they were leading 2-0. But then what happened next was just scary. Lyon scored one in the 70th minute and a few minutes later, they equalized. United all of a sudden were in a very difficult position. But then Lyon got a red card. United took advantage of the one-man deficit, right? Wrong. Czech scored again, making it 3-2, and then United conceded a penalty. It was a disgrace, and all of this was coming in front of their own fans. United were about to become an embarrassment, but they kept fighting. A couple minutes later, United won a penalty and there was hope, but the time was running out. In the last minute, Menu got a chance inside the box. It looked like United had taken the game to penalties, but with 1 minute of extra time left, the unthinkable happened. Do you guys remember the night Tottenham became European terrors and literally destroyed Erik ten Hag? It was in 2019 and by this time, Tottenham had not won a trophy in like forever. So when they got to the Champions League semi-finals and lost the first leg, everyone felt like it was going to be the same story. The second leg came and by half-time, Ajax had already scored. Then in the second half they put in Lucas Moura and a few minutes later he scored. But it just felt like a consolation goal because Ajax were still very dominant. By some miracle, Lucas Moura scored again, making it 3-2. Now based on the away rule, if he scored one more goal, Tottenham had pulled off a miracle. In the dying minutes with the last shot of the match, Lucas Moura got a chance.